whenever I do I do a 3 degrees of change course. I did it for the YMCA in, where were they? It was in Crouch End, North London, and a friend of mine asked me to do it, and I said, I'm not quite sure. I've got no material. I said, what I did when I ran the course, I had a one of those flip charts. That was it, flip chart. So I wrote on the flip chart 3 degrees of change, and then I did a diagram. So starting at point A to point B, and then from point A to point C, and I did a little 3 degrees, like a maths class. And I gave everyone a notebook. I've got these lovely little notebooks that I get from Amazon, and pens, and I just give people a notebook and a pen. And I say, there's no slides or anything for this. We're just going to talk about change. And so there were staff at the YMCA. And so again, I just treated it like a group, and we went round and we had a check-in. And I'm listening to the check-in. I think I'm going to form the group based on what I hear. And so one of the ladies said something like, I work here, but I used to live here in the YMCA. She was a client, and now I work here, but my parents don't really like me working here. She's got parents, and she was homeless. So we go round, and eventually I come back to people and say, tell me a bit more about your relationship with your parents. And turns out she went to university, she got a degree, and her parents are waiting for her to get a proper job, not work at the YMCA. And so I said to her, is what your parents think about you important? And we started to chat. And this is in the context of there being maybe 12 people in the room, and we're coming backwards and forwards. And eventually, so we check in, we talk about what's going on for us. And then in the second session, we look at the things that happen to us and what that means for us. And in the second session, she says, actually, my parents are really undermining of me. She starts to talk about, the relationship. And then in the third session, we look at, so we have a check-in, we talk about some of the change, we look at that, what that change might look like, and then we create a plan at the end of it of how we might take some early steps in that. And so she comes to this realization that, it's her parents have been undermining her all her life. She's never good enough. She never does the right things according to them. And anyway, I run the session. We stop for lunch, and then I go off and have a little bit of lunch. And I get a phone call from Chris, the guy who booked me for the training. And he said, "What are you doing?" And I said, "What do you mean? What am I doing?" He said, "Is it going all right?" And I said, "Yeah, it's going all right." And he said, "I'm getting a lot of calls from the manager and from people there, and I thought he was going to criticize me." And he said, "They love it. They love it." He said, "It's like treatment. It's like therapy." And I said, "Oh, right. I thought you were going to tell me off." he said, "No, so I'm going to tell you off in that that's my training gig. You're just doing it this time. I don't want you to take it over." And I said, "Chris, I wouldn't take it over. I'm here at your grace and favor kind of thing." But the fact that I didn't know what I was doing, and I didn't have this, loads of slides and all the rest of it, became a bit of an asset. And I ended up speaking. The plan that this woman made was that she was gonna get some support, and she was gonna find a way to have the conversation with her parents about her life and about their lives, because she doesn't know what their lives were like.